Hey everybody, what is going on? It is your boy Izlo33 welcoming you back to the Anarchy Analysis VOD review series. If you can't tell by the bottom of my screen, I'm doing this one exceptionally late in the day. But with that in mind, we're gonna be going over the Cloud9 Golden Guardian series that happened literally yesterday or earlier in the day in my mind, because it's still technically Sunday in my mind. Anyway, let's get into the game one, where we've obviously got 4 games to go over. We'll be basically breezing through this and looking at the drafts. I mean, the entire Golden Guardians comp is very minimalistic in terms of AP, and your only real AP damage dealer is River on the Maokai. But like, you look at that build, you've only got a Demonic Embrace. Like, you're only 2 items in and you basically do no damage. It's an exceptionally quick game that usually happens because you fight around the Baron and then the other team just push and immediately end. That's how I think this game would have gone. Even though Cloud9 was stacking up Drakes. Looking though at the reason I'm a bit miffed by this draft from the Golden Guardians, we have to look at these 2 members, Cassante and Blabber on the Sedge. Just building bulky frontline, it's very hard to kill. If we just look at all the stats and we find damage taken, physical damage or total damage that's done to people, damage taken, here we go. Yeah, so this is Cloud9. It's just the fact that you've got Cassante taking such a high amount of damage. Similarly with Maokai, but if I remember correctly, Maokai has... he's fairly average. But yeah, I think that is a huge thing to see. That stat is worrying as a whole. But yeah, the entirety of this game feels like Berserker was ahead for so long, didn't get punished at all, and ended with 6 kills. That just, it feels like a Berserker game, and so that's clearly his goal graph in it. Balloon probably when we get to Baron. Yeah, just a clean fight. We'll break it down. 21 minutes in, so game 1. We're 7 minutes in. We'll skip ahead. We're about here, so we'll just go boo 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 in short little bursts. Here we go. So, okay, here we go. So, C9 start the objective in the face of Golden Guardians. GG see it being started. They throw the Nature's Grasp out very early, is one thing, but like, enemies or MNS, whatever you want to call him. I'm butchering his name probably, and I know that, and I apologize, but like, goes in, the Nature's Grasp keeps Stixay out. Gory and Licorice are kept out, and Licorice is just River's just collapsed on without any real punish coming out from GG. Stixay and Huhi are firing in, but like, Silas is able to turn it and forcing Stixay back even more, as just a 4-man mosh pit happens here. Gory dies, and yeah, it's still a 2v1, and he survives because he has stopwatch and is fairly bulky in terms of his kit. He hasn't got a high DPS build, you just have the Dark Seal mainly there for your damage as a Silas at this stage of the game. But he's able to do a lot of work there. Cloud9, 20 minutes into the game, immediate spawning of the Baron, turn that into a advantage. We'll skip forward a little bit past this replay. And so, Cloud9 just going to continue to siege, use this buff. And in this situation, they're trying to match on sides, but Licorice is just caught in mid. TP comes through, and the fight really kicks off here for C9. River just gets deleted by the Aphelios, and then past the turret, it's just the front line doing so much work here for C9. Just keeping the Golden Guardians at bay in game 1. And honestly, it's really hard to get through them, because this is the victory march. There's no way Gory on a Jace can kill Baroned up minions with Shock Blast. He doesn't do enough damage. And yeah, he's just tickling them. It's not enough. And so, game 1 goes over very convincingly to Cloud9. Game 2 will not really break down too heavily, because this goal graph tells you it was mainly a Golden Guardians led game until 22 minutes, and I think we know what happens at 22 minutes. But looking at the drafts as a whole here, Sven played well on the Rakan. In the mid lane, Gory on Nautilus seemed to be getting caught out a lot. If I remember watching, when I watched this, Naut was not really popping off. Licorice played well. River and Gory, I think, had a bit of a torrid time during this game. Now, the big difference about game 1 and game 2 is Golden Guardians actually have multi-damage threats. You've got Stixxay and River for AD. You've got Licorice there, and technically Gory with the Abyssal Helm, just able to get through and burst out targets if they land the ultimates correctly. So we're gonna go to 22 minutes, literally on the dot, for our second replay that we're gonna break down. I'll not go super in depth in terms of the itemization, but I think this is BLG, not even. It would help if I clicked the right game. Anyway, GGC9, 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 GGC9. There we go. So 22 minutes we need to get to, so another 7 minutes from here. We'll go here. Okay, we'll skip back a bit. Okay, so essentially C9 using the Umbral Glaive that Blabber has just to ascertain vision in this top half river. Let's be honest, all through this sort of series, we're gonna see Cloud9 rushing Baron as soon as it spawns. So they're setting up the vision here. Golden Guardians have nothing on this pit, so they're forced to come through and clear it out. C9 realize that this is happening, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members here already to set up and kill whomever steps too far. Golden Guardians, Stixxay still in base, hasn't got flash. When did he use that? Oh, to avoid Blabber. So yeah, he's coming back. Now, if you're Golden Guardians, you can't really fight right now with Stixxay nowhere near. And so, this seems weird because you know that Blabber's there. Chances are he's gonna have a backup. Why? You see the ward also is spotting you. Rakan just immediately locks up Gory. And so, with Stixay still in base with IE, this is such a bad fight, all things considered. Now C9 have a 4v5. They're immediately walking over into the Baron pit. They've got control of it because control wards are broken. And so, that gold lead that Golden Guardians have relatively means nothing when you're in 4v5. You've got no front line, and enemies just flashing over on vision gets behind GG. And now he has his stun meter built. You know what's going to come down directly on their heads. A nice big old Tibbers. Bomb, cleanse immediately, and Gale Force. Now Stixay is very vulnerable. So Tibbers just gets left to go after Stixay, and Flash is being burnt galore from the Golden Guardian side because they realise they've overstepped into another 4v5. Berserker flashing with the Feather Storm. He's gonna not get a root. If that root lands, game would have been over. But the big important thing here is Big Boy Blabber in this side hasn't left the pit. He's still killing Baron. It hasn't reset. And so Stixay forced to heal himself up here. But Cloud9 just get a clean Baron. And you have to think the vision control that they set up there was a huge play. The fact that Golden Guardians played with little respect in that position as well made it so that C9 were able to find a pick, turn that into Baron, and burn a lot of summoners. And that entire play just leads to this goal graph. And we'll go to the timeline real quick just to show you. The Baron comes through around here, and these gold graphs start to soar to a point that's just insane. And part of me thinks you are a big benefactor. So yeah, we'll show you this. Gory dies, and then Gory dies again. Then it's Baron. And then yeah, it's not any kills, over 2 Golden Guardians from that point on. But yeah, game 2, very one-sided. We'll discuss game 3 real quick. This is the first game GG win, and it's pretty much this one-sided love affair as it's dominant from Golden Guardians. They pick up an early lead, lose it a little around the Baron, but then it just becomes a heavy slope as they manage to basically steal away, I assume, the Baron. The damage graphs though, pretty heavy. All things considered, as we look at the drafts, it's a change up of style completely. There's a lot more comfort in terms of the picks that GG have here. Because you've got a tank top, River on a AD carry-esque champ, Gory on a roam heavy mid that can just burst out targets, Stixay on a champion he's got a pentakill in this tournament on, and Huhi on an Annie who can just play aggressive. Now, I see a Mikhail's in Huhi's inventory at the end of the game, as you just look at the summoners and the spells that Cloud9 have. Ghost on Zeri, very susceptible to CC. So with a belly pop, a charm comes through, the Vi Q, all these like lock-up spells, she's playing on the edge in terms of with her kit. So the fact that who he is indexing into that makes quite a bit of difference. Also, I see Ocean's, well, Chemtank Soul, that's a big thing, so 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. I think Chemtank Soul is a bit of a bonus when you get to 29 minutes in. So yeah, here, you've just reached kind of your first peak. So that's your first big peak, that's technically your second big peak. And third one is literally ending the game, but this goal graph is kind of standard. We'll have a look at the timeline just to see a team fight and analyze it. But I was already seeing a lot of red, a lot of plays, it seems, especially around mid lane. That's kind of important because Talia did pop off. We're going to go to 25 minutes into the game then, of game 3. And break that one down to game 3. 25 minutes on to the clock, hopefully. Not 13. 2 more minutes. Okay, a little bit too far forward. So, Baron is on the Skull Guardian side, so they're just sieging. As Vi thinks he's caught out Kha'Zix, so he goes in. Already, the Weaver's Wall is being casted. So, that's coming from down there. And that means that enemies is probably going to have to dash over, which he does. Kha'Zix gets charmed, so he's being locked up in the full combo, exhausted. In fact, enemies places a really nice Everfrost down, but Kha'Zix still gets shut down. Now Gory is in a weird situation because he just is in 2 members, but Licorice makes it around. This is smart by Licorice because he uses the Q first to proc the Banshee's Veil. Ari's then like, oh god, I can dash through here, thinking, obviously, Steadfast Presence won't affect the Banshee's Veil, you know? But the Steadfast Presence knocks her up because she's not expecting to be hit. She then gets rammed into the wall, and she should be dying here, but a status comes through to avoid the Blabber knockback. And Licorice has builds Divine Sundra on Poppy, meaning he's going to be able to pop out a target very easily. Enemies forced into status as well. Gory still in here is probably going to come out in the next few seconds, but in the middle of 3 members is not the most ideal place. But the big important thing here is Fudge, Blabber, and Sven aren't the biggest damage dealers to what Gory is. So when Gory comes out, yeah, he takes a lot of damage, but that zap from downtown actually, that's huge. So this fight's weird in that regard because this is looking very one-sided, and GG have thrown another game due to being picked, but Licorice gets denied by the Swallow to Devour from Zen. So now you're really thinking, oh, this is doomed. But Jinx is focus firing Licorice, which is probably the worst target to be firing into in terms of targets. You could go directly onto Zeri, but instead what happens is Licorice just keeps walking forward. Zari gets 3 kills in a matter of 2 seconds. Like, how quickly she gets it after popping ult there. She dashes. She gets immediately large amounts of damage from her. Obviously, the auto attacks that go through the target now due to her dashing. She gets hit by the cask. Tibbers gets put down. Blabber gets tagged. Stixay's flashing forward, seeing blood in his eyes. Rat-a-tat-tat. The Hurricane also doing work for him as he gets 2 kills. The triple onto the Vi. Now Berserker is hightailing it out of there. Stixay probably will chase as he expects Licorice and Huhi to clean up the other kill. Gragas can't escape. Poppycopter was going to be launching Fudge away, but this moment is like, oh god, Stixay is down. They're going to turn this game again. Berserker runs away though, and on the other side, Licorice just is going to kill Fudge. It's a very, very strong... It was a very, very strong Gragas, but just makes it out. Poppy realizes, oh god, we've split and allowed Berserker somehow. How does he get the kill onto Huhi? So Tibbers dies, that's a big issue. Does he get hit by a zap? He does. He tries to sidestep it, but it just tags him. Now he's slowed, and Huhi's thinking, okay, I can put my Molten Shield on me. She can't kill me. Jinx cannot kill me. Jinx just throws the chompers down and just waits it out. Once Huhi walks into it, she gets to go excited. She heals up off the wave, running for her life, but Licorice just bops her once. And that's a shutdown. It's a 4 for 4 in all essence, which really isn't that beneficial to Golden Guardians, because you think, oh goodness, that could be them throwing the game again. They've allowed Jinx to get into it. But you have to think that game probably is the reason why, well, that moment there is the reason why, if we just isolate the goal graphs to just the bot laners, it's probably the reason why we see here, after that fight, just Jinx overtakes Stixay, and they're kind of battling back and forth for the gold lead, but one last fight wins the game for Stixay, and that massive gold shutdown onto Berserker, which, let's be honest, only happens because of Licorice catching the Jinx out. Now, last game to break down. Game 4, 35 minutes, a drawn out game in some regards. 5 Drakes really tells you the story, especially when it's all on Cloud9's side of the rift. The drafts, I mean, that's a lot of harassment out from the Cloud9 squad. Turrets just being put down in your face with Rylai's. The arrows coming out from the Varus and the Corrupting Chains. Cassante just there to frontline to protect these squishier targets. Nearly thrown spears and shock blasts coming from the Jace. It's a lot of poke and harass, and so with the draft that Golden Guardians went for, you can understand some of the picks. You got your strong bot lane that you had in the last game that did well, minus the Annie that you banned. You got the Yasuo. You've got a Yasuo in there just to deal with some of these long range spells. Maokai frontlining. and then Licorice on a cat tank top. The big issue from this draft is very much the same as game 1. It's the low index of AP damage. And the reason that's important is because you look at enemy's build, MNS's build. He's got full armor, tank stats that are just able to survive all of the engage. So if we come down here again, look at the damage taken. Bear in mind, this is C9. Damage taken, surprisingly, Blabber takes a lot. But considering the KDA of Blabber, you only died 3 times, 2 times on MNS. Yeah, that tells you that they were quite bulky. And the gold graph there, early game, is all C9. In fact, this game looks very C9 dominant in terms of the stats. So, we'll just watch. There's not much we can watch. I guess we'll take a look at. Where does that. The gold graph really explains this game. C9 started a snowball early, and if that's who I think it is, yeah, just continued to snowball to the late game and we're untapped. That's basically the story of this game. Just look where all the kills are. Like, solo bowler mid, but the fact that they're all in this bottom quadrant and you see a lot of blue really does explain the fact that Cloud9 just outclassed Golden Guardians in this final game with a very poke heavy draft. But regardless of that, that is disgusting. Anyway, thanks very much for joining me. If you've enjoyed today's breakdown, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Wait, I forgot to do one last thing. It's make my predictions for the second round robin. It's not even a second round robin, it's the last thingy. Anyway, I'm gonna go GG, G2, C9, JDG, T1, Gen G, oh god, and then BLG. Let's talk these games, because these are going to be interesting to say the least. We have a matchup that didn't happen during the plane stages, as 2 planes teams facing off against one another in G2 and BLG. I'm not sure how to predict this one fairly, because in their regional matchups, G2 won theirs, BLG lost theirs to JDG. And it wasn't really a close game. It felt very stompy from the Chinese representatives, JDG, over their counterparts. And I think with how that game's went, it's a hard thing to say. It's gonna go to the European team over a Chinese, but you've gotta try. This one, I can't really explain why I'm going 3-0 to Gen G, other than I haven't really been impressed by Cloud9 at this tournament. Gen G have shown that they can deal with Western teams very easily. C9 just seem to be lacking in some parts in how they approach this tournament, and they're playing quite sloppily in some games, and as such, that's why I've got to go with a Genji squad who's probably going to win. Lastly, our third game on Thursday. We'll also have games Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week as well. Don't know how I'm going to predict this Saturday one, because I'm going to be at the event. But hey, last game, JDG T1, upper bracket final, I believe. So essentially, the winner of that one will advance to Sunday. Yeah, so the winner of that will immediately be in the finals on Sunday. Oh, well, I have to kind of put the 3 something in there. 3-2. Now this one's interesting because this was kind of the expected World Championship finals that we didn't get because JDG kind of flopped. And so my prediction is actually gonna be a T1 3-2. I think Genji T1 being as close as it was not really that surprising, even though they've never gone to a 3-2, well, had a full 5 games between the Korean teams. This one screams 5 games. I think the styles that these two teams have brought to the tournament is very counter-esque to one another. T1 have been hard flexing mid picks with support or top, and they've been playing a very bruiser-heavy style. As for JDG, they've shown a similar style with 369 playing tanks, but like, there's a lot more emphasis on kill with JDG and out team fighting their opponents. I think here we're gonna see an absolute brawl, to be honest. But you know, that's his or their sort of matchup. Now, dependent on how these matchups shape up, we're gonna probably see a bit of a either BLG Genji, to be honest, or G2 Genji yet again. And G2 Genji wasn't that close other than the early game. But, you know, that would be an interesting matchup. I'm, to be honest, realizing I'm going to be seeing either T1 or JDG on a Saturday against possibly Genji or BLG. So I'm happy in that regard that I'm going to get a decent matchup. But thanks very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed as I get to actually mark them off. But thanks very much for joining me. I'm doing the outro again. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new and if you want to. I'll see you guys for the streams on Tuesday. Peace out.